So Watches and Wonders 2025 got underway in Geneva earlier today. I was supposed to be there to cover the show, but unfortunately I've had to cancel my plans. My mother had emergency surgery last week and I really wanted to stay in the country. So for another year I'm covering Watches and Wonders from my kitchen table. But I've been keeping a close eye on what's new, and of course day one is always about Rolex and Tudor. The big news is of course the Land-dweller, or also known as the worst kept secret in watchmaking, as the name and pictures and renders of this watch seem to be doing the rounds on Reddit about 3 weeks ago. So instead of big news, maybe this is old news. With styling that's somewhere between a Datejust and the oyster quartz from back in the day, the Land-dweller is available with a 36 or 40mm case, in steel and white gold, Everose or platinum. Like the Datejust, it's got a fluted bezel, but this time we've got an integrated Jubilee-style bracelet, but with flat links to match the angular design of the case. The dial has this laser-etched honeycomb design, and a mixture of buttons and Arabic numerals, both of which I think look odd somehow. Maybe I just need more time to get used to it, but tell me what you think. It's got a display case back, so you get to see the movement, and for me that's where the real magic is with this watch. The 7135 is a brand new movement that incorporates a number of new developments, and it firmly puts Rolex back on the map for innovation in watchmaking. It uses what Rolex is calling a Dynapulse escapement. This is a direct impulse escapement. It's not entirely a new concept, and it was first developed around the 1700s, and it also bears some similarities to Omega's coaxial escapement. Without getting too techie, the benefits are that there's less friction, which means less lubrication is required, and therefore longer service intervals. There is one drawback, however. Direct impulse escapements are more sensitive to shocks, so they don't have the same shock resistance as more conventional lever escapements. Rolex has overcome this in part by making the balance wheels from siloxy. That's Rolex's proprietary blend of silicon and silicon carbon, which makes them self-lubricating, anti-magnetic, and gives them greater shock resistance. Other new releases from the crown include a new version of the GMT Master 2 left-hand drive that was launched 2 years ago. That was the one with the date window also being on the left, and it seemed like Rolex had taken the easy way out and simply rotated the case and movement. This time it's in white gold instead of steel, and the dial is made from a ceramic plate. So not only is it glossier, but it will match the same shade of green as the bezel. There are also some new OPs with pastel colour dials in lavender, sandy beige and pistachio. There's a new 1908 in yellow gold on a 7-link Settimo bracelet, a yellow gold Datejust with a red dial and a diamond set bezel, as well as new dial options for the Daytona, Skydweller and the GMT Master 2. For me, the new turquoise dial really jars with the yellow gold on the Daytona, and I'm not that keen on the tiger eye dial on the GMT Master 2 either. Luckily, I'm not the target audience, and I'm sure that these will sell as fast as Rolex can make them. 2025 is a big year for Tudor, and when we say big, we mean it. Now those aren't my words, that's taken straight from the Tudor website. Clearly their marketing team has been working overtime. For me, Tudor's offerings are a bit of a mixed bag, but there's definitely more here to talk about than last year, and I'll save the best until last. Now 2 years ago I was tipped off by an industry insider that Tudor was working on a white dial version of the Black Bay Pro. I put a video out about that at the time with some of my own mock-ups, but when that watch didn't materialise, I was pretty savaged in the comments. Now I might have been 2 years too early. I mean, it's probably the first time I've been early for anything. But finally, the Polar Dial Black Bay Pro is here. It's essentially the same watch as the original version launched in 2022, aside from an opaline white dial and polished black edging to the hands and the ceramic lume blocks. While that dial looks great, sadly they've retained the same MT5652 GMT movement from the original Black Bay Pro, rather than changing to the newer and thinner Meta-certified movement found in the Black Bay 58 GMT, released last year. So the thickness of the case remains at a chunky 14.6mm, Now, I think that's a real shame, but knowing Tudor's approach to product strategy, I think they've deliberately left it so that they've got somewhere left to go when they want to upgrade the whole Black Bay Pro range next year. Next up, and there's now a new Black Bay 58 with a burgundy sunburst dial and a burgundy bezel, which Tudor says is based on a prototype of a Tudor Submariner from the 1990s that never saw production. This one is available with either Tudor's 5-link bracelet, the one that we can't call a Jubilee, the 3-link Oyster-style bracelet, or on a rubber strap, all of which have the T-fit clasp. Then there's another brand new model, the Black Bay 68. If you thought the standard 41mm Black Bay was a little too small and dainty, this new Black Bay 68 is the supersized version with a 43mm case. It comes in two variants. There's a sunburst blue dial and a silver dial version, both of which are available on the Oyster-style bracelet only. Now, instead of discontinuing the Black Bay chronograph, the one that uses the Breitling B01 derived movement, in favour of an in-house calibre, instead Tudor has revamped the black and white dial versions. The black dial now gets silver subdials instead of white, while both models now have the option of either the Oyster style or the 5-link bracelet. Last but definitely not least, and this is a biggie in more ways than one, we have a brand new Pelagos Ultra. For anyone concerned that 500 metres of water resistance just wasn't enough for their Pelagos, the new Ultra will go all the way down to 1,000 metres. It's got a 43mm case, up from the 42mm of the standard Pelagos, and it's made from a combination of both Grade 2 and Grade 5 titanium. It's not clear on the Tudor website which parts are made from Grade 5, but I suspect it could be the bezel, the crown, and the helium escape valve. The larger case allows it to have a larger dial, and it has thicker hands and indices for enhanced legibility, as well as different coloured lume on the minute hand for easier tracking of elapsed minutes while diving. So that rounds up the new releases from Rolex and Tudor, and overall I think there's a lot to like. I'm hoping to get hands-on with some of the new Tudor models in the coming weeks, and I'll be able to take a more detailed look and give you a more considered view then. But in the meantime, I'd love to know your first impressions of the releases from both of these brands, so do drop me a comment down below. Don't forget to hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video, and look out for more of my hot takes on Watches and Wonders 2025 releases later in the week.